it's like, yeah, one of those roles that does change your life, and it doesn't matter if you're doing a dramatic role like something like Angels in America, and you playing, you're playing the role as Angel, and people were like, it's like 5 years later, and someone walks up to you, is like, I know you before, like I've seen you on stage. I'm like, yeah, I've been on stage, so I'm an actor. So it's like, were you in Angels in America? I'm like,
Yeah.
yes, I was. I was in Angels in America. Did you play the Angel? I'm like, yes, I played one of the Angels. So yeah, it's like, so it's great to have people actually coming up to us like, hey, you were so great in such and such. So because it also gives you affirmation that you are going to the right place. Uh, but speaking on the imaginary ballad, you were a fantastic Angelique, and it does actually bring out a great discussion, which is comedy. You do comedy so well. Now, I know anybody who doesn't know Soly, she inspires to be on SNL one day. And when she was graduating from BMCC, she actually, I believe, yeah, it was BMCC, but I don't remember if it was you who made it, but you had like a graduation cap that literally says, on my way to SNL or something like that, because I vaguely remember that.
Yeah, it was one step closer to SNL.
Now, yeah, what draws you to comedy, but and more specifically, what draws you into wanting to be on SNL for like a period of time? Because SNL is like, you could be on the show for like one season or maybe even 15 years, like Keenan Thomas. I was literally about to say like Keenan, like I was about to say like our friend Keenan. I was like, wait, that's wrong, Keenan.
Plot twist. Whoa.
Whoa.
Yeah, first, like, I just want to give like props to my friend James Jones Jr. He was the one who created the cap for me.
Oh, nice.
I had my vision, and it just wouldn't go. It just would not happen. And he was there, and I was freaking out. He was like, "Okay, what do you want?" And I drew it for him. He's like, "I got it," and he did it. He's amazing. I love him. An amazing actor. Oh God, I did work with him with Kavanaugh, Captain Kavanaugh. Everything will be alright. My final semester at BMCC, and I have to give props to her because she did help me open more of my dramatic side. I with her, I didn't jump into the pool, but she made the kiddie pool for me, and she was teaching me how to swim. So when it came to the serious side, she was the one that really opened it for me, which is like I'm so forever grateful for her. But yeah, the reason why I wanted to be in SNL, I've always looked up to Amy Poehler and Tina Fey, and just seeing how they started out at UCB, which I ended up being a student at one point, and joining the improv club and seeing how everything was, and I did my research. Every week was different. They would get the beginning of the week, and then they'll have everything like memorized and on time for the show, which I found out they don't have to memorize their lines because they have a cue card guy.
Really, which is always great when you're watching live and you see someone just like kind of like glance to their left or their right and just like read something off of a cue card, because you could tell like the hosts do that like more naturally. Someone like Christopher Walken, when he's hosting on the show, you could just tell he's reading off a cue card, but a lot of this stuff is good, and then you could tell he's just reading off a cue card and somehow still make it work. But then they're all hosts are able to not even read off a cue card and still make it work. But yeah, the cue, even though you're still memorized, there's still cue cards just like still waiting. Just it's like almost like a cheat sheet where it's just like it's like you don't want to mess up your line, but still like shit, where's the line? And just like kind of like glance over to your left or your right, just like right.
And on top of that, it's like who could blame them?
Yeah.
Because would literally change like the scene 30 minutes before. They can even change it during open house.
Yeah.
But I really loved improv and seeing how, you know, you can make a living of just like entertaining people. And you know, every week is different. You get that rush, and
Yeah.
I've always that rush. And a lot of people were telling me, they were like, you know what, you're gonna be in SNL one day. Soly, you belong in SNL. And mind you, I didn't know what SNL was for a while
Yeah.
until high school. And a lot of people, they were like, you're okay, you should host SNL, you should be cast in SNL. And you know, I still have a goal. It's not my end game. It's not like, okay, this is the job that I want, because I want to do everything. I want to act in television and film and off Broadway, Broadway. I want to do everything.
Yeah.
I call myself an actor in training until I believe I've done everything. But one of my goals right now is to hopefully one day act and write for SNL. And if not, and if I don't get the opportunity to do that, I came to terms as like a couple, I think a year or two ago, I came to terms of like, okay, if I don't get to be cast in SNL or get to write for SNL, I would love to host SNL one
Oh,
night.
and I think for the most part, you do have the tendency to actually be a great addition to SNL, either as a not ready for primetime player, i.e., a cast member, or the secondary supporting cast, or even as a host, where it's like you just bring a great energy into your, to, like not only comedic chops, but just like a great energy into your acting as well. Even when you're doing the serious stuff, which I'll actually know in a little bit, but yeah. Uh, yeah, there's just something about you when you're on stage. It's like people kind of already notice, like, oh, they kind of like have you more of like they kind of like focus on your stuff because you're very, very energetic in terms of your acting, but at the same time, you're not like energetic, like, oh, I'm doing like this all wacky stuff. It's like it's very, very unique in terms of your like comedic thing, where it's like you're not sure like how there's like once you watch her on stage and see how she is, it's hilarious. Because if you go to the BMCC YouTube channel for the theater, they have the Imaginary Invalid right now, and you can actually see her on stage as Angelique, and you can tell why she is so hilarious as that, because not only does she bring like not only does she say lines funny, but also she's able to like say a lot of this stuff and carry a lot more of the emotional weight behind some of these lines and still be hilarious at the same time.
You're embarrassing me.
Oh, I'm sorry. I do that. I do that. I do that when I know someone personally. I've seen their work like a bunch of times, so it's like, or at least several times. Or I know them personally. But since I know you for the past like 4 years, it's like I gotta understand. Like that's what I worked with you previously with the improv club, which I would actually want to bring into the next question is that the improv club at the MCC. I know when you were doing that, you were also doing Invalid at the same time.
Yes, and
how would
right.
how was that managing both an improv club and doing your main production like at the same time?
It was hard. I'm not gonna like sugarcoat it, but like, you know, that was easy. You know, like I have like 8 lives. Like you know, I'm not Prue from Charm that did a spell to make like 3 memes. You know,
Yeah.
it was really hard. You know, unfortunately, I the you know, I had Jessica with me, was like really helpful. Um, but when I had to take care of it because Jessica was going through like personal stuff,
Yeah.
told her, like, listen, you're the president, I'm the vice president. When it comes to executive decisions, you know, I rank second highest. So I told her, I was like, listen, I'll take care of it. You take care of yourself. And
Yeah.
at first, she did not want to do that. She was like, you know, I'm. She was very, very explicit with her not trying to let me do everything myself. She did want to help, but I told her, I was like, listen, I got it. And you know, during the time, unfortunately, like with like my two other cabinet members, it wasn't really the greatest. But you know, it was really hard. Keenan, who was like at that time, he became like senator of the student government. He did offer for help. He continuously told me like, listen, if you need help running the club, I got you. But it was more of I didn't want to disappoint them.
Yeah.
Created a club that was meant for like for everyone, and I wanted to keep the honor and the true definition of the improv club, but unfortunately, you know, it didn't like go as planned as I wanted, especially with everything would be alright.
Yeah.
I also noticed that like not a lot of people came, and like people weren't having as much fun as like when the previous cabinet ran it. But you know, after years of that happening, and you know, I've spoke with like Keenan and Jessica, and you know, we still talk. They're like my best friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
They knew how much I felt bad about it.
Yeah.
It was to a point that like I cried to them. Specifically Keenan, because Keenan was the one who like it was his baby, still
Yeah.
is. And he was like, you know, it's not your fault that this happened.
Yeah. I think in terms of the clubs, it's just that after a while, especially if you're doing a club, and because this is from my experiences, I was the theater club, drama club, what have you, treasurer for like a time, and running a club is just like,
It takes a lot.
yeah, it takes a lot. And I did the same thing at Brooklyn College. I sure have not done because that one was just like the same stuff that literally happened, but it's much more of an interesting story that I could go over one day, but I don't want to go into one day because it's just like one long spiel about what happened. But yeah, I do agree that it isn't your fault. I think it just happens to be timing and just circumstances. So just like
Yeah, and it's like high school. I was able to chew more than I bite. Um, I always growing up. I always, you know, bit more than I can chew.
yeah,
But I was able to juggle it. But now with like college and whatnot, I still had the mindset of like, yeah, I could do it. But when it came to that, it's what I learned. My time there at BMCC, also being like, you know, the vice president and the president of it.
yeah,
You know, and my advice to you guys that don't chew more than don't bite more than you can chew or something. Some don't.
yeah,
My analogy is if you have a plate, don't overfill it because if
yeah,
your plate is gonna end up full. And
yeah,
then, you know, I had the mindset of like I could. I'm a server. I can manage so much plates, but then when it came crashing down, you know, always put yourself first.
yeah.
Really think about it. Like, all right, I can do this, I can do that, but can I manage more than that I'm already am managing?
Yeah, it's like what you said before. It was like the freshman mistake, where it's just like taking morning classes, but this was like much more of a not. This was more of a more advanced level where it's just like this is actually you
Yeah,
running something. That's what.
yeah, and it's like especially when there's like people depending on you. Um, honestly, I do not regret
Yeah,
anything. Like if I could, if they told me, hey, like listen, if you wanna redo, if you wanna travel back in time, would be
yeah.
like, would you change anything? No, I would absolutely do everything again, same way.
Because honestly, and this is why I was talking about. This is why I said before with UFC and their slogan is that you could just start here and just go anywhere, and
Oh yeah, literally.
like literally just start here and go anywhere. And some of the stuff, even if you made bad choices at the MCC, like I know I've had made bad choices at the MCC,
Oh
and yeah, and you probably made bad choices at the MCC, but
yeah,
uh, no regrets. And but yeah, no, I was trying to do the thing from what's it called? Shoot, Meet the Where the Mellows or Meet the Mellows, and it's like that guy who goes no regrets, and he has to like no regrets and stuff
no.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, if I had a chance to go in BMCC, I wouldn't really change a lot aside from the fact that I would go as a freshman instead of transfer. Because that's the only thing I felt I did wrong was transferring into BMCC as opposed to just going into as a little freshman where I could just relearn all this stuff again. But that would be the only thing I would probably change. Whereas like I wouldn't change anything I'd done at BMCC aside from the fact that I would just go into it as a freshman, as opposed to just being transferred. Because as a transfer student, I feel like I got a lot of the. I feel like as a as a transfer student, I feel like I got the ass end of a horse. You know, where it's just like I got a lot of things wrong. I didn't take a lot of these earlier classes. You know, basically a lot of my stuff that I learned at Kintro was pretty much like cut in half to what was learned at the MCC. But anyway,
But
yeah,
you wouldn't be where you are right now if
yeah,
you know.
yeah, that is true. But and speaking of being where you are right now, you actually go to a pretty wonderful campus that isn't much of a hike to get to, City College. Yeah. What is it like actually attending City College as a theater student? Because I talked to another person yesterday, Amanda, and she was my previous guest, and she was talking about how the theater department over there is very welcoming and very like a very helping hand. Is it the same way where it's like if you want to do something with the theater department there, they're like, we got
It's so the theater department there. It's yes. I agree with Amanda. If you want to do something like, okay, I got you. Um, they do have like professors that like once they believe in you, like you know they believe in you. There's no doubt.
you. Yeah,
Um, it is comparing with UCC and CCNY. It is different. It
yeah,
is completely different. The people are different. Academic wise is different. But
yeah,
what CCNY offers more classes, um, more stuff. Um, BMCC, what I noticed is that with BMCC, everyone knew each other.
yeah.
Um, everyone was like a tight group. But
It
with
was
like,
that. It was that hallway. It was that hallway. That's why.
it was a hallway, and then it ended up being SGA.
Yeah,
Yeah, we CCY does have their own hallway, but it's called the lounge. So it's like for theater students, they sit around. Um, yes,
loungy.
yeah. CCY people, they're very welcoming.
Yeah,
Same BMCC people, but you what you notice a lot is it's you would think you have like your tight group, but everyone's a group.
yeah,
It's there's no like cliques and all that. It's just like everyone just knows everyone, and
yeah,
like you know, um, with BNCC is like, okay, you and I, we know each other. Okay, cool. You know, I know like some of your family. Okay, cool. Like I met them. Why not? CCY. Okay, I met you. So now I know your blood type. So now ancestors. Like I know that you're related to Queen Elizabeth. I know this. Party wise, different. Really different. But
Yeah, I've heard that the CCNY parties are like legendary as opposed to BMCC parties where there's like there's like BMCC parties I heard is like we rave until dawn and then they'll be like, well, I'm gonna leave after one, and then at CCNY was like, we'll rave until dawn, and they mean it.
I um I remember my very first CCY party. I was actually in BMCC. Uh, it was for doing Everything Would Be Alright. The whole cast were like, yeah, we're gonna go to this party. One of our friends invited us, and Kavanaugh and Professor Charles Burks. You know, they were hearing about it, and Kavanaugh was like, because then we all agreed to have a last minute Everything Would Be Alright matinee.
Yeah,
Kavanaugh was like, guys, don't party. We have a matinee tomorrow. Guys, please don't party.
that might have been the one I've seen. So
Yeah, and Burks was like, you know, guys, I know you wanna party, but it's not worth it. You know, just focus and go straight home, straight home. And we were like, yeah, we're gonna go straight home, yeah. But then we ended up taking the train, and we ended up going to the party. And I remember it was very interesting. It was really interesting. Cardi B song "Bodak Yellow" was like really big back then. Still is, but I remember there was this one time they were playing Bodak Yellow, and I got so hyped, and I'm like singing along and whatnot, and then someone changes it in like the middle of the song, and
yeah,
I remember I was like tipsy or like not drunk, but I was like tipsy.
was
I just sobered up real fast. And the person, our friend who like invited us, I was like, yo, dude, I'm about to go home. I'm going because like this is ridiculous. I was in my mood. I was in the group singing party, and now they're playing country music. Turns out years later, one of my friends who I ended up being in the same show with my first semester at CCNY, he was the one who actually turned off the music.
oh really?
Yeah, like we later out, and it turns out like we met at that party, but we were too out of it to even remember.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's very different. Uh, it's more of BMCC is like when thing goes when you know I think with BMCC you get a little bit more privacy.
Yeah.
This is why it's like, you know, we're gonna welcome you in open arms, but just so you know, like we're gonna know everything, so be prepared. Just you know, it's like how do you say it? Not Big Brother, but uh once once you have a piece of cake, it's like everyone knows you got a piece of cake, so you gotta share with everyone.
Okay.
But yeah, the people here are great. Honestly, I've learned a lot at CCOI. But I'm talking too much. Next question. Next question.
Yeah, that actually brings me to like one of my last questions, which is essentially, how do you feel, especially as an actress now, performing at CCMY, and performing at BMCC, like, how do you compare the two styles? Because I know at BMCC it's like you're still learning, but the stuff I've seen at CCMY feels a lot more raw and a lot more like, yeah, raw in the sense of, wow, this is really, really personal. Like Alex's show that I saw earlier this year,
Savage,
uh, huh?
Savage and Limbo.
Yeah, Savage in Limbo. I felt that was like really raw, and the shows I've been able to see at CCNY, like the student showcase, that sort of thing, or yeah, student showcase, or where it was called, because I couldn't get to see the main stage productions because it would always be on a time when I had class, or I live in Brooklyn, and going to Brooklyn from here to Upper West Side, it's all by itself a trip.
That hill you have to climb.
Yeah, and there's that hill too.
Yeah.
And okay, funny story. The first time I went to be not BMCC CCNY, I got lost for like for almost an hour.
Shut up. Because of
Yeah.
I went to CCNY was when I was in high school, and I was in the SAT program, and they were like, okay, you have to go to this school to take like a practice test. Me and my friends, we got so lost. We ended up having to we had to like walk up a hill and all that. And I remember I vowed to myself. I was like, and this was like around 2014.
Yeah.
I was like, I am never going to this school. I am never. This school is dead to me. And it is funny. After taking that program, my SAT scores was lower.
Oh, really?
Actually doing it on myself. So I was like, I'm never doing this again. And then it turns out I'm at BMCC. Well, I'm not.
I mean, I'm at CCNY. Yeah, so I'm at City College. I'm like, son of a.
Gave them my $100 deposit, and I was like, take my money.
But yeah, for my last question, how is it compared to BMCC style of acting, where it feels like people are still learning the ropes? They are very naturalist actors compared to City College, where the acting feels a lot more raw and personal. Like as I was saying before, like how is like you don't want to. I don't need you to compare the styles, but in your experience, like how do you see those two colleges with their acting?
One thing that I can say for myself, I have grown a lot in my techniques. I've noticed
Yeah.
that I have grown a lot. I've expanded a lot. You know, I feel like BMCC helped build the foundation,
Yeah.
and CCNY helped. It's
Maintain that foundation.
not maintain it, but it helped
Strengthen it.
strengthen it. It helped like BMCC was the one that found the city. If you get a piece of land, BMCC was like, they're the one that put the concrete floor. So Serafina Rotundi, she was the one that found the land. BMCC was the one that like made the foundation, the concrete to make it solid, and CCNY made the buildings and made the houses and all that. I noticed that I'm more comfortable with my more serious side, more dramatic side. I am still doing comedy. The 2 semesters ago, last fall, I did The Fantastics, and it was a musical, and it was a comedy. And yes, comedy, musical. I've never done a musical before. That was my first musical ever, and it was fun. I had my very first experience of being an ensemble, which is like it brings back to what you were saying when you were in that show. You barely had any lines, but people did remember you.
Yeah.
I had little to no lines in Caucasian Chalk Circle, and people remembered me. People loved me, because this is all about body language.
Yeah.
So people were able to remember me just by reacting to what someone's saying. With King Lear, David Willinger is like he is just like Dowling. Like Dowling is my theater mom and Willinger is my theater dad. That is it. That's it. Like I have my parents, but when in the theater world, I have my but yeah, it's it, I feel like in the end of the day, if I never went to CCNY, I wouldn't be where I am now.
Yeah.
Self growth when it comes to my craft. I took this class called Body Movement with Keith Grant, and we did mask work. And
Ooh, really?
so no, you don't want to do it.
Oh, okay.
Very serious in your acting, yeah, do it. But it that class changed my life. It makes you really confront a lot of things that you suppress a lot, which really helped me get into my serious side, which really helped me dive into more of the dramatics of acting. So when I did King Lear, I knew I wanted to be in King Lear. Cordelia, I was like, Cordelia was mine. I pulled the whole Dowling thing. Yeah, but I came into the audition like memorized with Cordelia's monologue, and also in the original text, Cordelia is and the fool are the same actor. So
Oh,
that's
really?
yeah, the original productions. So Serafina Rotundi, I told her about the auditions. She helped me get the book. She helped me get a book about learning Shakespeare's life. She helped me get like the Shakespeare glossary book. Diane Dowling, she prepped me for the audition. She was like, okay, so this is what this person is saying. So she was kind of like training me of getting ready because this was something. Cordelia was Angelique for me.
Yeah.
She was the CCOI Angelique for me. So when I walked in, I was like, same mindset. I have to show this man that I am Cordelia. And when I did the monologues, and I also auditioned with Alex, so we walked inside together. And,
ooh, nice.
Yeah. And so then they had me sing, and I sang La Vie en Rose from Imaginary Village, which is funny because Alex thought that Dowling wrote it, and then she found out recently that she never wrote it. So she texted me it out, and it's funny, but you know, and it's always CCNY helped me become more aware of what I need to do as an actor to get what I want. It helped me become more serious with myself. It helped me be a good noodle, basically. When it helped me realize that, okay, if I'm really, really interested in this, I need to make sure that I do the work, because
Yeah.
it's not my career, my goal, my life goal. And I honestly, like, I don't care if I become famous. Like, a lot of people are like, you need to get famous, and I'm like, all I want to do is make people laugh, make people cry, make people feel.
Yes.
Let people. I want to be the one to welcome the audience into the world that I helped create.
Yeah.
Help the audience connect to a character that I've become. And I do believe CCY has helped me. Mind you, I have to give the credit more to like David Willinger, because David Willinger has only been literally my only acting teacher since I transferred to CCOI. Like, literally.
And no one else. There was no one else besides this person.
Yeah. You had like all these other teachers, but that was him. He was the one that opened Shakespeare to me. Yes, I did like Shakespeare with Dowling. Like, he was the one that's like, he taught Act 3, which was the Shakespeare, and like classic stuff. And you know, he, after King Lear, like, he told me, he was like, since your first audition, I always knew you were going to be Cordelia. And that was when he told me that. That was it was as, oh, I'm gonna get emotional. Stop it, Bryan.
All right. You know what? I think at this note, because it was pretty much like on for like almost like an hour and a half of just talking about your thing.
Talk.
Yep. Yeah, we just talked. Which is gonna be fun because I've done it. Because I've split episodes in two before. But anyway, I think though. All right, just to end this on a very great note, you answered one of the questions before, which is essentially, do you have any advice? And I think the advice was don't overfill your basket. Don't put your eggs in one basket. That's what. Don't overfill your plate. Do you have any social media that you want to plug? I'll take that as a no.
No. My Instagram. I just got to Twitter. I have YouTube, but like I haven't really been on it. I only did like 2 videos and that's it. But my Instagram is holy moly Soly, like holy water, and moly and a Soly. And my Twitter, I don't know, it's Solayna Coreas, SOLAYNACOREAS. I recently got back on it. I'm just like tweeting random stuff, but I don't really like tweet that much. But I'm more active on Instagram. But I just want to say thank you for having me.
Of course, and just thank you for actually giving me a time and place for allowing you to actually express yourself, but also talk about your experiences not only with. It also brings me like I should have asked you about what happened. It was like the weird thing about this is that a lot of the show has been corresponding around with COVID and stuff like that, especially with the projects. And I know your show, uh, the, the the next City College production, like literally House of Spirits, I think. Yeah, House of Spirits or something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong. If I said the play wrong, but I know it was like literally on preview night or one of the preview nights, or at least dress rehearsals, and that was the only time you got to perform that play, which just sucks.
It's I remember like I cried, but it's more upset for like the actors. Willinger contacted me because one of his actors got sick, and it was 2 weeks before Tech Week, and he contacted me. He was like, "Can you? I know this is like last minute, but can you fill in?" That was I think the most I've ever like. I don't know what happened, what I did, but within 6 days, I memorized all my lines, and just like just for like open dress, we found out like, hey, it's canceled. We're not even gonna have people come in to watch it. And it was, I just feel bad for the people that for the rest of the cast that they were working for weeks, for like or so, and just like me just walking in like 2 weeks before, like, hey guys. But I felt their pain, because imagine that would have like happened with a show, like if it would have happened with like Imaginary Invalid, I would have been devastated.
It's like literally you got people who are doing this show for like 6 weeks or so, maybe even 8 weeks, depending on how much the pre-production phase are with some of these main stage shows, and then you hear we got to cancel the show because there's a pandemic outside and we don't want people to be, bring it into a thing. Because getting sick in theater is a story all by itself.
When I did Fantastics, I got sick the week before Tech.
Oh, God.
Yeah. And I had a high fever. Everything, my body was aching. I performed towards the end of me getting sick.
Oh, wow.
And so it was like, I remember 2 of my friends, Mia and Nancy. Nancy was a choreographer that for 3 days straight. They would not allow me to eat anything but soup. I could not, like, they were like, you cannot talk. I've never missed rehearsal before, but I had to miss it one day.
Yeah.
So weak and so sick to do rehearsal, to the point that, like, if I stay for rehearsal, I will get everyone sick. But
Yeah.
everyone else got sick during the show.
So yeah, and like I could just say before, getting sick in theater is not fun by itself. Anyway, that has been episode 3 of season 3. I don't know why.
3.
Yes. Not 33, but just episode 3 of season 3. And my name, as always, is Bryan M. Davis. Thank you for joining me today, Soly. It was great catching up, not only just catching up in general, but also just catching up with your acting, that sort of thing. Yeah, just take care, everyone, and just stay safe and wear a damn mask. Bye.